The land devours its inhabitants. The men are giants. We cannot possibly defeat them.
To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates.
What if God whispered a promise in your ear that would not come true until everyone around you was gone? What if obedience made you hated and faith made you dangerous? What if believing God put your life at risk? Joshua heard that whisper. Caleb heard it too. They heard it in a land of giants, surrounded by fear, outnumbered by doubt, and opposed by their own people. And for believing God, the nation wanted them dead. This is not a story about courage. This is not a story about bravery. This is a story about survival by faith, because faith does not always save you quickly. Sometimes, faith keeps you alive while everyone else dies. Long before Joshua was born, long before Caleb walked the desert, God spoke to a man named Abraham. He did not show him walls. He did not show him giants. He showed him land. I will give this land to your descendants. No expiration date. No conditions based on strength, no military requirements. The promise was not earned. It was declared. Generations passed. Chains replaced freedom. Promises felt distant, but promises do not age. People do. God remembered what people forgot. Israel saw wonders that nations would never see again. Water turned to blood. Darkness swallowed Egypt. Death passed over marked doors. The Red Sea split. Walls of water stood still. Enemies drowned behind them. Bread fell from the sky. Fire led them at night. God's voice shook a mountain, and still, they did not believe. Miracles do not create faith. They only expose hearts. Some hearts remember slavery more than salvation. God spoke to Moses, "Send men to explore the land, not to decide, not to debate, not to vote." The land was already theirs. 12 leaders were chosen, respected, trusted, influential. Among them, Joshua, son of Nun, Caleb, son of Jephunneh. At that moment, they were just names. No one knew they would outlive everyone else. For 40 days, they walked the land of promise. They saw valleys overflowing with life, trees heavy with fruit, soil rich beyond imagination. One cluster of grapes, so large, it took 2 men to carry it. The promise was real, but so were the giants. Cities with walls that touched the sky, warriors bred for violence, names that carried terror. Same land, same facts, different conclusions. The report began well. Yes, the land is good. Then came the word that destroyed a generation. But the people are strong. But the cities are fortified. But we cannot do it. Fear always sounds reasonable. 10 voices agreed. Fear multiplied. Then one man spoke. "Caleb, we should go up and take the land. We can certainly do it." Same evidence, different faith. The camp exploded with fear. Crying filled the night. Hope collapsed. They wished for slavery. They planned rebellion. Fear always prefers chains over trust. Joshua and Caleb tore their clothes. Not anger, grief. You are rebelling against God. The truth was spoken. The crowd picked up stones. God spoke. Not softly, not gently. Every doubter will die in the wilderness. 40 days of scouting became 40 years of death, one grave at a time. Faith was spared. Fear was sentenced. Joshua waited. Caleb waited. Every day, another funeral. Every year, another reminder. Faith without reward. Obedience without progress. But faith does not expire. The last doubter fell. The Jordan River stopped. The land opened again. Joshua led. Caleb followed. Old men, strong faith. Caleb stood before Joshua. "Give me the mountain." Giants still lived there. Age did not weaken faith. Promises do not retire. 2 men entered. An entire generation did not. The land did not change. God did not change. Only belief did. The question is not what God promised. The question is who you believe. Because faith does not just decide victory. Faith decides who survives long enough to see it. Faith did not make Joshua famous overnight. It did not place a crown on his head. It did not shorten the wilderness. Faith only did one thing. It kept him alive. While others laughed, doubted, complained, and died, Joshua kept walking, day after day, year after year, grave after grave. He watched men who once spoke boldly be carried out silently. Men who had seen the Red Sea split were buried in dry sand. Men who had eaten manna never tasted the fruit they rejected. The wilderness became a classroom, and death was the teacher. Joshua learned something there that no miracle could teach. Time does not destroy promises. Unbelief destroys people. Caleb learned it too. Every funeral was a reminder that faith is not loud. Faith survives quietly. No one applauded them during those years. No one thanked them for being right. No one returned later to apologize. Truth rarely receives an apology. They simply kept walking, under the same sun, on the same sand, with the same promise burning inside them. And the promise did not fade. It matured. The wilderness had a rhythm. Morning burials, afternoon silence, evening regrets whispered into tents. Children grew up watching death. They learned early what disbelief costs. This was a generation being erased, not by enemies, but by fear. Giants did not kill them. Walls did not stop them. They defeated themselves before the battle ever began, and Joshua saw it all. He saw strong men weakened by doubt. He saw leaders crumble under fear. He saw mouths that once praised God complain him away. Faith does not die in battle first. It dies in conversation. Then one day, the funeral stopped. No announcement was made. No ceremony marked the end. The last doubter simply fell, and the silence changed. It was no longer the silence of death. It was the silence before movement. The Jordan River flowed as it always had, until it didn't. When the priests stepped into the water, the impossible happened again. The river stood still, not because Israel was strong, not because Joshua was brave, because the season had changed. God does not repeat miracles to convince doubters. He repeats miracles to move the faithful forward. Joshua stood at the edge of the water, not as a spy, not as a follower, but as a leader. The promise he once whispered in fear now thundered in authority. The same God who buried a generation now opened a path, and the people followed. They crossed on dry ground, just like their parents once had. But this time, no one complained. They had learned. Caleb walked behind Joshua, 85 years old, his back bent by time, but not by doubt, his eyes still sharp. He had waited longer than most men live. He did not ask for comfort. He did not ask for rest. He asked for the mountain, the same mountain where giants still lived, because faith does not seek easy victories. Faith seeks fulfilled promises. The giants were still there. That is something most people misunderstand. God did not remove the giants. During the waiting, he waited until the faithful were ready to face them. Promises do not eliminate obstacles. They justify them. Caleb did not complain about his age. He did not mention his years. He mentioned his faith. The Lord who promised me then is the same Lord now. Age did not weaken him. Waiting refined him. Cities fell. Walls collapsed. Not because Israel had grown stronger, but because fear had lost its grip. Faith had replaced panic. Obedience replaced argument. Silence replaced complaint. And the land opened. Not for everyone, only for those who survived belief. Joshua never forgot the wilderness. Leaders who survive faith never forget the cost. He ruled differently because he had waited differently. He did not rush decisions. He did not trust crowds. He did not fear opposition. He had seen what fear does to nations. He had watched an entire generation die slowly because they could not trust God. So he led with memory and with warning. There is something terrifying about this story. God did not lower his standard. He did not adjust the promise to fit the people. The people were adjusted by removal. God did not apologize for the wilderness. He allowed it because promises are not inherited by proximity. They are inherited by belief. Many stood at the edge of Canaan. Few entered. Many heard God speak. Few trusted him. Many saw miracles. Few survived long enough to enjoy them. That is the cost of surviving faith. This story is not ancient. It is repeating. Promises are still spoken. Faith is still tested. Fear is still contagious. And wildernesses still grow graves. The question has never changed. Will you survive what you believe? Because faith does not guarantee comfort. Faith guarantees consequence. Joshua and Caleb entered the land, not because they were perfect, but because they refused to let fear rewrite what God had spoken. They did not argue with giants. They remembered God, and that was enough. Silence. Wind moves across the land. Footsteps continue forward.